Okay, we're there. Okay, take two. So, yeah, here we go again. And, yeah, whoa, that's good to be. So, yeah, you're quite well aware now, my name's Luke Sturgess-Durden. And I used to work for a company called Maiden. We've got a few guys from Maiden here. I was there for about 13 years. And I left about 2 months ago. I'm now working for PHPSW, the sponsors. And I've been meaning to come to PHP Southwest for about 3 years. So I thought if I actually sign up to do a talk, then it might make me actually get here. So here I am now. And this is PHPSW's website. As Jim said, we specialise in web apps. We do quite complex sites. We've actually got our own in-house built custom framework, which allows us to build quite powerful sites fairly quickly. Well, that's the theory anyway, but I'm still learning. So this talk is all about Vim. You might let's just have a quick show of hands. Who uses Vim regularly? Okay, who's used it in the past but gave up on it? Okay, and who's never used it? Okay, so about 3 or 4 years ago, probably longer, I can't keep track of time, I decided to just try every different IDE, and I gave each one a couple of weeks, and I moved through them all. And I came to Vim, and after a few days, I was really hooked on it. And one of the best things about it, I found, was it's ubiquitous. It's available on all servers. So if you're connecting in via SSH into a server, Vi or Vim is always going to be there. So sometimes Nano won't be, and you might have to install it. Lightning fast load time. As you can see, I struggle with an old Mac at the moment, so speed is of the essence for me. And it's also faster to develop, I think, once you get used to it. You can do lots of things really quickly. Less mouse equals less RSI. Some people seem to be blessed; they don't suffer from that problem. But if I'm using a mouse for more than like 15 minutes, I get real pain, and I do everything to try and minimise that. I have a mouse on each hand. I have mice and trackpads, so I just really try and minimise the use, because I want to be able to carry on having a job for as long as possible. I don't want to have carpal tunnel syndrome, whatever it is. And also, it kind of feels like the natural choice for, if you're a programmer, you like to program things, you like to automate things. And Vim allows you to do that whilst you're programming. So anything that takes too long, you can speed it up, and you can have shortcuts, you can have macros and all sorts of things, and you find that it's just that kind of a satisfaction. It feels good when you're Vimming, and it makes I don't know. But that's you kind of got to find the IDE, the environment that feels good for you, because we're stuck away from the outdoors. We've got to make our environment as comfortable and as nice as we can. So do whatever feels good for you. But I just advise you to give it a try. And if you haven't already, or if you've given up on it, then give it another attempt to go back to it. It's very quick to learn. A lot of people say there's a huge learning curve. It's not actually that difficult. Come on, you guys are all very clever. You learn so many things in your jobs. It's actually quite quick to pick it up. The basics are very quick. There's a cartoon there for Mike, front-end developer, who's a passionate anti-Vimmer. So there's not much to it. And if you need a bit of a hand to help you learning, the Vim comes with a built-in tutor. You can just type Vim tutor on if you've got Vim installed, which should be installed anyway, and it will take you to this screen, which will say, there I come out of here. If I type Vim tutor, you come up to a screen, and it will take you through everything. You can follow all the commands on here, and it will just take you through lots of lessons. So that's a really good thing to follow through. Now there's another one. If you want to embed the keys into your brain, then how about a bit of a gamification of it? Someone's written a plugin for Vim, which allows you to play Snake. So let's give it a go here. So if I go into Vim, and now if I just type SNAKE, I can now play Snake. So it's just to help you embed in the muscle memory those keys, because those all should be absolutely second nature to you. And what you find, once you have got those keys embedded in your brain, whenever you're not in Vim, you're kind of trying to press those 4 buttons and they're not doing anything. There you go. And it gets really frustrating. So after my 2 weeks of Vim, and I came out of Vim and I thought, right, I'm not necessarily going to use Vim all the time. And I'm not like a real hardcore Vim user, but I just use it enough to get the basics. And I thought, right, I've learned that skill now, and I really want to apply it when I'm not in Vim. So I sought to find ways that I could use those Vim skills outside of Vim. So the first thing I came to, let's just, oh, there's another one here, Vim Adventures. If you haven't come across this is great fun. So they've gamified. There we go. You can go around. You're learning as you go along. It's like a little what do you call those kind of adventures? I don't know. But you're learning as you go along. As you go through the maze, you learn different words, different keystrokes to be able to do different things. So Vim Adventures, I recommend that. It's quite a bit free, and then you have to pay to get the full version, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, what did I do first? I installed this thing called Carabiner. I don't know if you've heard of it. I first had to install it because when I first got a Mac, I was using a PC keyboard, so I had to remap some of the keys to make my PC keyboard work. And then I thought, right, there must be a setting on here where I can map some of the Vim keys, so that wherever I am, I can use those keys. So if you look here, so that's this is Carabiner. If I go to Preferences, then you can set up. You can see I'll show you what I've just got this installed. Where what it does, it maps Command L, so the left command, and then whenever the H, J, K, and L to up, down, left, and right. So that's now second nature for me. If I'm not in Vim and I want to use the keys, I just use the left Apple key, press them, and then I'm away. And this is just really useful if you're kind of browsing, because I hate using the scroll bar. Rather than scrolling, I can just go up and down, and that's just really useful in lots of situations. One of the really useful ones is if you're selecting from a select box. That's a lot of mouse clicks. You click on the select, and you scroll down, and you click the thing you're selecting. I'm always trying to reduce mouse clicks, and mouse clicks are even worse than mouse movements. So if I can see a select box, then I can just use the up and down keys. I can select something without having to use the mouse again. Okay, so I really recommend installing that. It has got a advanced Vim key bindings, ubiquitous Vim bindings it's called, which really applies Vim to your whole system. I haven't gone that far, but I have tried it out. So you'll probably find that actually Vim occurs more in everyday life than you imagine. So Gmail has got some Vim bindings. You have to turn it on in the settings. It's quite easy to find. But once you've got it on, you can. So I'm now just using J and K to go up and down, and then I can now use J and K. I can go through all of my threads, and in a particular thread, I can go next and P to go back through the individual items in the thread. So there are quite a lot of other. If you're in Gmail and you press question mark, it'll bring up all of those shortcuts, and these are the extra ones that you have to enable, which give you quite a lot of. They're not all exactly the same as Vim, but most of them are based on Vim commands, so they're all there. Okay, I'm going to carry on to the other things. Okay, so while we're in browsers, I probably daren't come out of this to show how this works on a browser, but browsers have got various plugins and extensions. Chrome's got one called Vimian. Firefox has got vimfx, which is the same. It's got one called Pentadactyl, but it's a bit hard to install at the moment if you haven't got the right version of Firefox. Safari's got one called Vimari. And what they allow you to do is, while you're using the browser, instantly scrolling is just up and down with J and K. You can do this thing called, if you press F, then what it will do is bring up all of these, and will highlight any links on the page with the letter, and you can all obviously touch type, so it's a split second to type those letters that come up on the screen. So that's a really quick way of reducing mouse movement for moving around to click on links. So I really recommend you trying some of those. And again, if you're in the browser and you've got that installed, if you press the question mark, it'll bring up all the shortcuts. So it's easy to learn. Yeah.
Are they consistent? Go back to that page again.
No, they're not all. They're quite inconsistent actually.
So you don't get muscle memory.
No, but what it tends to do is, I think it's based on where your cursor is at the time, and then the closer to your cursor, then the letters will be closer to the F and where. So yeah, I think it's something along those lines. But no, it's not exactly the same. I mean, maybe if your page hasn't changed at all. So yeah, recommend those. So those are some of the shortcuts that come with Vimian, and there's quite a lot to do with changing tabs and moving around, jumping around. It's got some really nice things. If you press capital T, it'll bring up a little thing where you can search for all of your open tabs. Anyone who knows me knows that I usually have about 500 tabs open at any one time, which wasn't why my Mac was dying tonight. So that's a really good way of finding when you've got hundreds of open tabs. Right, okay, so let's move on to some other things. Who uses less at all? Yeah, now less, who doesn't know what I'm talking about with less. Less is a way of viewing output in the terminal, and it was probably written by people who use Vim because it's got a lot of Vim bindings. So if I'm on the, now I might be able to do this. Oh, still got this going. So if I go to, I'm probably not going to get, try this. Okay, I'm in MySQL, and what you can do is there's a command here. If you type pager less, then it sets the output to go all the output that MySQL does goes through less. So if I now do a show databases, okay, that's now in less. I've not got enough there to really do much justification, but I could do a search and do for, and it will find things for you. So if I do, and then you have to quit out of that, and I do. Okay, if you work for Deep Blue Sky, then you have databases with about 500 tables. So this is really useful. It comes up, and I can just do a search. I can go up and down. I can search for type items in there. You can just restrict on the output as well. But it's quite useful if you've got a MySQL output and you've done a select statement and you just want to search within that output. So that's really useful. But anything that's creating output from the terminal, if you do a pipe and then less, it will output it into less, and then you can scroll up and down using the Vim bindings and move around, do searches on that output. So that's a really useful thing to get into. The next thing that I wanted to do was, quite often when you're working in the shell, you're repeating commands, and I used to hate it when you just want to change one word in a long command line, and you have to go to the beginning or arrow backwards forward. So I found that there's a way you can change in your shell with a couple of commands. So you can either do it editing your input RC file, and there's a couple of commands here you have to add, or if you just want to, if you use bash, you can edit your bash RC, do set R-O vi, sets the output to vi, and if you use Z shell, anyone use Z shell? Yeah, you can do the same just with bind key minus V. Okay, and what happens there, now if you're in the terminal, and if I do up, and that's the last command I wrote. Now if I just do escape, I'm now in Vim mode, so I can do B, 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 go back through the words. I can go 0 to go to the beginning. I can go $ to go to the end. And I can just change the word. I could CW to change that word. And now I can change the word to something else. You can't, I don't know, I don't think you can do visual select. One thing you can, which is quite nice, which is quite similar to something that you showed in Tmax. If you do, question mark and then pass, for example. It should find all of your previous commands lines that have got that in, and you can use N and capital N to go back and forth through them. So that's a really nice one as well. So that's vi made in the shell. Then we come to IDEs. So I really advise you, if you've got a week where you haven't got huge deadlines, set aside a week. So I'm just going to work in Vim for a week, and just to get it all in my muscle memory. If you need any tutorials, the Laracast guide has got quite a good tutorial on setting up your Vim to get you going. So once you've tried it for a while and you've learnt those basic keystrokes, go back to your other IDE of choice, and then go and find the plugin and turn on Vim mode in that IDE. And then you're getting the best of both worlds. So you've got your lovely IDE, which does everything you're used to, and then you just turn on Vim mode. So Atom, you just install Vim mode package. Sublime Text, you have to edit your user settings and just comment out the ignored packages, which is usually says ignore vi mode. PHP Storm has got ID of Vim, and they're all pretty good. They're all slightly different implementations and varying degrees of Vim usage. But what you find is, yeah, like I say, you get the best of both worlds there. So I really recommend doing that. Does anyone else do that at all? Yeah, one person. So that's worth doing. Coda, sorry Jim, I couldn't find one for Coda, but you'll have to use Carabiner's ubiquitous Vim mode, I'm afraid. Okay, other tools, we'll just very quickly. Vim Anywhere, that's something available on GetWhere. You can, if you're editing some text anywhere, you can do a shortcut and it will fire up Vim, and then when you exit, it will copy it to the into the whatever you copy. What's that called? Clipboard, that's it, thank you. And then you can paste it back into where you were. Wasabi, that's another plugin for your browser, which means if you do Control Enter, if ever you're in a text area on the web, it will convert that text area into a little Vim console for you, which is very nice. And you can even get a Vim app on your iPhone or iPad. You will need to install a Bluetooth keyboard to really make the most of it, otherwise you're in a world of pain. Yeah, that's if you're on your holidays and you can't survive without Vim. Like I say, Laracast is a good tutorial. I couldn't find anything for Finder. You know, when you're browsing around in your files, I couldn't find anything to help my pain in Finder. So if anyone finds a way of vimifying Finder, please let me know. Any questions? Thank you very much. Questions?
I have like basic knowledge of Vim, like to kind of get around. But I use PHP Storm day to day. Is it actually like a viable alternative? Or PHP stuff? Does it have IDE things? Or is it just...
It is an alternative, because there's pretty much nothing in PHP Storm that you couldn't do in Vim. You just it would take a while to install the necessary plugins and get the hang of it.
Biggest,
So that-
biggest issue is the introspection.
Right.
And that's resolution.
Yeah, you can do that. There's something called C tags, which can.
It's not as deep.
No, it's not quite as deep. So there is a compromise, which is why if you use the Vim mode within PHP Storm, then I think that's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
I've seen some keyboards actually have dedicated buttons for up, down, left, and right. Is Vim just trying to be a dick?
You can use
How-
those arrows in them.
You can.
Yeah.
You can, but it's
not as efficient.
but okay. That doesn't seem very far, does it? But that's how far you have to move your hand to get from the home keys to there. If you do that 100 times a day, it all adds up. So
It's a muscle memory thing.
Right.
So it's just you just
So-
get more done more quickly.
So for me, it's more natural to use those 4 keys than it is to use the arrow keys. And it really doesn't take long to get them.
If you move your hands left, you're going to get RSI more.
Well, for me, what causes more RSI is using the mouse. That's where I really notice the difference. Because maybe I've always been a touch typist, so maybe I just don't have a problem typing. I find that relaxing typing. So it's the lesser of 2 evils. Yeah, I'd rather not be typing all day either, but I definitely don't want to be using the mouse. Has anyone here suffered from RSI at all? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thanks very much.
Okay, then, yeah.